How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Eric Carlson here, running for Congress in the 1st Congressional District. Again, we have the whiteboard out today. If you've picked up on a pattern that I'm doing in this campaign, I try and get videos out at least one every other day, if not every day, where I go. I have about 44 videos up right now on my YouTube channel, ericcarlsonforcongress.com, or excuse me, Eric Carlson for Congress on YouTube. If you go there, you can see where I stand on all the issues. I bring up some of them in different contexts in these new videos, and I'm trying to get these out to more voters as I'm out there meeting people every day, walking the streets, talking to people, handing out cards, giving them reference to where they can go and see exactly where I stand. That's why I'm doing more and more videos. So I appreciate if you share these. The only way I can win this campaign is if people get word out. I'm doing this with no money. I'm not asking anybody for any money. We see the money that poured in for Jonathan Jackson on his side, right to win the primary. The Democrats figured that this is a done deal, and I'll do a video on why that's not so and why this district is going to flip this year. So on this one, I'd like to talk about the border and why this affects us. Now, a lot of people, like I said, get focused on issues that are in their community, which is rightfully so. You want the thing that's right in front of you is the thing that you face every day, and that's the thing that you worry about. But what gets missed is the impact that having an open border has on all of us, everyone in this nation, but we're going to focus on the 1st District and what it does to us here. So right now, the current Democrat policy, when Joe Biden got in office, he stopped the building of the border wall. He fired all the construction workers. The money that was already spent was basically pissed away because the contractors were already paid, but they weren't allowed to finish the work. So that was your tax dollars that got wasted. All the construction workers that got laid off. Joe Biden says he's a man of the people and the working class. This is what the Democrat Party did. And the reason we know that it's a Democrat policy, and this is what you're going to get if Jonathan Jackson is elected, is the same thing you got with Bobby Rush and the rest of the Democrats in there right now. Do not oppose this. They've done nothing to try and close. They haven't gone to him and said, Mr. President, you're doing this wrong. This is hurting our people at home. Because they don't care. They had a plan to bring in because they thought all the people that they would bring in would start voting Democrat with giving them handouts and everything. Turns out it's not the case. You have the Hispanic Latino vote is actually coming over to the Republican side, especially those that are here legally and the people that that want to see legal immigration be the rule. They don't like the people who came here properly don't like what's going on. That's why you're seeing stuff going on. The border districts that were traditionally over 100 years Democrat have been flipped Republican. We just saw that in a special election down in Texas. You're going to see that all over the country coming in November. There's a red wave coming, folks. But we'll stay on track here. So the Democratic open border policy, what does it do? Well, yesterday it was announced on the news that this year they figure over 160,000 unaccompanied minors will come into this country. That's kids with no parents coming with them. Well, who's going to take care of them? Who's going to find them housing? Who's going to find schools for them? Who's going to pay for their medical needs? That's all you. That's coming out of your pocket. And this is, like I say, the folks in the city that tend to vote Democrat. You're voting for people to keep this policy in there. That money should be going to your kids in your schools, American-born kids. Until we fix our own problems, you can't allow this wave of people to come in and basically suck off the tit here. So they're estimating that we will have 18,000 illegals crossing every day into this country now. Again, that's all your money. All these people need to be, not only the law enforcement costs and the cost of shipping. These people are coming up here with little to no education, little to no skills for a modern society. It's a burden on society. No matter what they tell you, they're going to tell you all this about, oh, well, we need the labor and all this. No, you need to stop giving handouts to Americans. Let them go back to work. Maybe stop. This might help with your abortion policy, is not killing all these young American kids in the womb, bringing them up. I mean, if you can pay for kids to come up here with no parents and pay for their existence, surely you can pay to help a mother raise a child here in the United States or help the child get adopted. That's an entirely another video, but you understand the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party. They are not there to help you. They do not want to fix problems. They do not want to help you. They want to stay in power, and they think this is the way. They think they can get these people out here, get them on the dole with your tax dollars, and buy their votes to keep them in power, making money, and keeping this country in a downward spiral. What's coming in across our border? Terrorists. We already know that. We know terrorists, over 40 terrorists have been arrested. Now, this doesn't include the gotaways, the ones that come into this country that law enforcement can't track, doesn't know where they went. And those people that are trying to hide, that are coming across camouflaged and everything else, trying to cover their tracks, these are people that are danger to you and your family. They're literally, there's people in this country right now. They're already here. They've already got in here because of this policy, and they are waiting to pull off a 9/11 attack, a dirty nuke bomb. There's any number of things that could happen in this scenario. Now, law enforcement has its hands busy dealing with this. They don't have a chance to investigate all. We have limited resources, folks. This country, we don't have unlimited money, unlimited manpower to go after things like this. So you are in danger right now. You and your families are in danger of a terrorist attack. Criminals, people coming across, committing crime. They may be coming to your neighborhood. You don't know. Joe Biden is putting them on buses and, planes, shipping them all over the country in the middle of the night, just showing up on your door. So now, not only are your federal tax dollars going to pay for these people, now they just showed up on your doorstep in your state. Now that money, again, is going to pay for other people's kids rather than your kids. So all this money, especially, I talk about what's going on in the city, because you can't win this district without the Democrat voters coming over and seeing that you're getting screwed over. Again, I'm not asking anybody to change your beliefs, change your values, and say, oh, I'm changing parties. You don't have to change parties. You just have to change politics and vote for the person that's right, who's gonna fix these issues, who's gonna work to fix these issues. Diseases are coming across. We just went through COVID. The Chinese are estimated to have a couple different 100 variants of COVID in the Wuhan lab. They can release those at any time. That again, a separate video. But stuff that can come up here that we have eradicated, basically. You could have people coming from Africa right now with Ebola, crossing the border right now. They're gotaways. They're in this country with Ebola. We don't know that. Now you have an outbreak. All this stuff stems from an open border. Infrastructure. It's estimated, the Democrats keep saying 11 million illegals. There's 11 million, well, that number hasn't changed since the early 2000s. So you think those 11 million, you think there haven't been more? We had almost 2 million are going to cross this year. It'll be over 6 million when you hit this peak per year coming into this country. What does that do? Well, they need housing. They need housing. They need medical care. They need schooling. They need food. They need to drive on your roads. So all this, so you're talking about using less oil and less gas, and this wear and tear on your infrastructure. But it's estimated, some estimates put the number as high as between 30 and 40 million illegals in the country right now. We cannot sustain that. This country has the most liberal policy of immigration, legal immigration in the world. We take in over 1 million legal immigrants a year, more than any other country in the world. So don't say we're the bad guys, and it's not racism or anything else. You can only do so much. You can only do so much before you sink the lifeboat. And the United States is the lifeboat for the rest of the world. If you swamp that lifeboat, there's no other place to go. Cartels. Cartels control your southern border on the Mexican side, and now they penetrated into the United States. This comes to your neighborhood because the drugs come to your neighborhoods. This is all neighborhoods in this district, whether you're in a rural community, all the stuff that's coming in right now, that creates crime. It creates crime because you have drug dealers, and you get turf wars and turf battles and shootings, and people getting hooked on these drugs, which another policy, the Democrat hypocrisy, they want to make all these drugs legal so they can get the tax dollars to divvy it out to buy it. So they want you doped up, dumbed down, sitting at home, voting for them, and just keep them in power. That is their plan. That is their policy. You see it in action. So your drugs are rotting away your neighborhoods. Also, the Chinese are working with the cartels to get fentanyl into this country. The fentanyl killed over 100,000 Americans last year, mostly kids. They get it in here illegally. They mix it with other drugs, so you don't know what you're taking. If you order these, you see a lot of stories of kids ordering these pills, basically speed, methamphetamine. stuff online that they can get, and it's laced with fentanyl, which proves fatal. The Chinese are waging a war. If they can erode this country from the inside, if they can kill or disable your youth so you can't put a military in the field, you cannot resist them when their end move comes. The Chinese are looking at global domination. That's a separate video. But this is part of the war. The Chinese are at war with you folks, and the Democrats and a lot of Republicans in Washington are ignoring it, looking at all these stupid, idiotic things that they want to keep you fighting amongst each other about transgender this, and which affects less than 1/4% of the country. Human trafficking. If we don't wake up, folks, we're done. We're done if you keep electing people like this who are just in it for themselves. Human trafficking. We see this all the time. Democrats kind of be, the party of looking out for people and protecting people, yet they allow the border and they allow this to go on. That includes sex trafficking, trafficking minors, all kinds of stuff going on because of this. Law enforcement resources stretched way too thin, and it's only going to get worse with more people coming in, more terrorists, more criminals. That's your tax dollars again. This is, again, money that's not going to rebuild that bridge that needs to get, so you can get to work in the morning, or redo, or put in high-speed rail, or get your kids the education that they need to advance, so we can fight against the Chinese in the world's coming economy. Spies and politicians. This was just big yesterday. You had intel people coming out talking about how deeply the Chinese have infiltrated into this country. You have spies coming across the border. There's people from China and other places coming in, and they spy. They get into congressional politics and local politics. And the reason they're doing this, they're starting small, and you saw it. Eric Swalwell is a perfect example. With Fang Feng, his Chinese spy that he was sleeping with, they infiltrated him when he was in a local committee, I believe for his city, before he got up to Congress, and they just followed him up the ladder. That's what they're doing. They're grooming these people to get them in positions of power to vote for things that benefit China and hurt you. Folks, we lose this country if we lose this. This is why this is so important. People always say, oh, this election is the most important. We are on a razor's edge, ladies and gentlemen, and these people don't get it. So Republicans, what do Republicans want to do? What we were doing under Donald Trump, finish the wall. Now, if you think the wall doesn't work, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. The border crossings went down to its lowest number ever when we had the wall, especially in the heavily traveled districts. So look at it this way. For my friends in the city, look at it this. When you go into certain neighborhoods in the city, you see security doors, the bars on every door of every house. Why is that there? You can get in with a crowbar. You could get that off. But it's a barrier to make it harder for someone to get in your house and take your things. So that's what the wall is. Is the wall 100% perfect? No. 95% perfect? Absolutely. If you have a barrier there, you're going to cut it down, and you're going to funnel people into what we call high avenues of approach, which you can more easily defend and protect and patrol. It's the cartel. Cartel, you need to label terrorists. We need to go after them militarily on their side of the border and on our side of the border. You can use the reserves, you can use the National Guard, you can use the Marine Corps. Marine Corps does not fall under posse comitatus. You can use Marine Raider battalions to do special operations missions on the U.S. side of the border. These are things that need to be, the U.S. needs to have a relationship with the Mexican president to get more jobs to not only the U.S., but Mexico. And what I mean by that is we need to take the jobs, the manufacturing, the high-tech items need to come back from China. All these American corporations that go over there and give them information on how to make this stuff and then are going to be out of business because the Chinese are going to copy it from you. Bring all that manufacturing, all those trademarks, all that knowledge back to the U.S. Make it here, which is why you have to lower corporate taxes to make it attractive to the businesses to come back here. This is what Donald Trump was doing. We should have a 15% corporate tax rate. Bring these jobs back to the U.S. Now, the other stuff we learned during COVID is that the Chinese, 90% of our medications are made in China. So again, they cut that off tomorrow. Do you know how many Americans would die from not having their medications that they need daily, whether it's blood pressure medication, any type of medication that keeps you alive? 90% of it is made in China. We saw that. That came out during COVID. I didn't know it. You probably didn't know it. Now we all know it. Why it hasn't been brought back here already as a matter of national defense, that is a strategic thing. to protect the populace, the people of the United States. Drug manufacturing, in a lot of cases, isn't extremely high tech. A lot of it is fairly basic. Those are jobs that can be brought back to Mexico. You should have a North American conglomerate of the United States, Canada, and Mexico that looks out for each other. Because when our backs are against the wall, your neighbors are right there. You want them on your side. You don't want a failed state on your southern border. So you bring back the cheaper manufacturing. All the stuff you like to go get in Walmart, have them make it in China and Central America. That brings the jobs. That negates the need for those people to leave their homes and come to the United States. If they have jobs, if they have a future, an ability there, they're going to raise themselves up, make themselves more economically viable, which makes them stronger, makes us stronger. Everybody's better off. Instead of pissing away all this money in China. But we know for a fact Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are compromised by the Chinese. $31 million went from Chinese into the Biden family. And this investigation is only going to get bigger. When the Republicans take over the House and the Senate, which they will, I will be very surprised if you don't see an impeachment of Joe Biden. So you heard it here. The investigation, what he is doing is because he is compromised. He wants no one to know all the stuff, all the shady dealings that he had. So he's willing to do anything, like sell 1 million barrels of U.S. oil to the Chinese from our strategic oil reserve, drain our oil reserve to give it to the Chinese. You have to be either insane, but people are allowing the people in around him, his staff, his cabinet allowed this to happen. So that tells you who's running the show. Remain in Mexico policy. People can't come up here, come in, and we again have to foot the bill for them while they wait to go to their immigration hearing. No, you stay there. If you want to come to the U.S., you put in paperwork, you stay in your home country. If you are fleeing some type of danger, the rule is, globally, you move to the next country for asylum, which for all those Central American countries would be Mexico. That's the next safe country. Which is why we cannot allow Mexico to become a failed cartel state, a terrorist state. Rising wages. If you close the border, that tightens the labor market. We saw this under Donald Trump. We saw the highest real wage gain in American history under Donald Trump. That happened, okay? And the reason those wages went up is when you cut off that flow of cheap labor coming in from Mexico, that allows more Americans to work. Now employers have to basically, it's a bidding process to get workers. So they have to offer higher pay, more benefits. Everybody makes more money. Now you say that gets passed along to the consumer. Well, if everybody's making more money, it's not rocket science, folks. It's not. There's no. Again, it's not a finite pie. The pie can keep getting bigger. So just because somebody's making more money doesn't mean you're gonna lose money. All right, what are they doing to you with these open borders? They are literally killing your kids. They're killing it with fentanyl. They're killing it with the drugs and the other drugs and crime that it causes in the neighborhoods. Drugs and crime, they go hand in hand, folks. You can't have lawlessness at the border and then expect to hit the rest of the country. This affects all of us. Everything that happens in Texas affects Maine, New Hampshire, Alaska. It affects all of us here. Your tax dollars. This is the biggest thing. Your tax dollars that should be going to schools and infrastructure are being wasted on people that shouldn't be here, number one, and threats that we don't need, that wouldn't even be here if you took care of this problem. So I ask you to please share this stuff and think logically. Think logically. Again, this district votes traditionally about 3/4 Democrat. Everyone I've talked to so far is ready for a change. When I'm out on the streets talking to people, they are ready for a change. They are fed up, and I'm asking them to please support me. Give me 2 years. 2 years, if I can't make a difference, if you don't see me up there making a difference and doing what I say I'm going to do, I'll walk away. Then you can elect Jonathan Jackson or whoever you want in 2 years. 2 years is not a long time. All I'm asking, you've been doing the Democrat thing for almost 90 years in this district. Give someone else a shot. If things aren't working for you, and they haven't been, Bobby Rush has supported this. He has not said one word against all this. So, and we have Jonathan Jackson, who is running on the Democrat side for this position, who calls him, his words, he says he calls Bobby Rush Uncle Bobby, and he's been around him his entire life. So if you think anything's going to change, if Jonathan Jackson gets elected, he's going to go right along with the Democrat policies. He's going to fall right in line with them. I'm not. I'm going there to fight. I'll fight Democrats, Republicans. I don't care. This has to stop for the good of the American people. So again, my name's Eric Carlson. Please go to ericcarlsonforcongress.com. That has links to all my social media, especially my YouTube. I'd appreciate if you share these videos. It's the only way I get word out other than being out on the street. I don't have money for TV ads. I don't have money for radio ads. I'm just asking people to please get the word out. I can do this job. I can get things done for you. And I'm just asking for a shot. So thank you again, ericcarlsonforcongress.com. I'll see you on the street.